Guys, we are back with the Screen Team. My name is Chris, and I'm being joined by a brand new member of the Screen Team. Screen Teamers, let's give a big welcome to Mr. Mark Sanders. How are you, sir?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking me back.
Hey, man, we appreciate you being on the show. And for those who aren't familiar with you, you love movies, correct?
Absolutely.
What are some of your favorite all-time movies that you love, man? What do you like?
Inception is right at the top.
It's my man.
Raiders of the Lost Ark, Die Hard, all of the Star Wars movies except for the prequels.
He's not a prequelist.
No,
not at all.
Not a prequelist at all. Science fiction, action, romantic comedy, When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah. So these
great
are
movies.
So you got a pretty good list there, man.
I do.
I love it. And I notice on social media a lot that you do some movie reviews and stuff like that. You got your own kind of blog, right?
That's correct. Yeah. It's called Enter Sandman, and you can find it at entersandmansworld.blogspot.com.
Great. We'll check that out for sure. We got a movie review for you. This one's called The Circle, and this is a film that came out in April of this year. Stars Tom Hanks. Mm-hmm. Stars Emma Watson, right?
Yes.
Hermione herself. So we got this huge cast. We got a concept that looks cool. What did you think of this movie?
I thought that the concept was fascinating, especially the ubiquitous presence of social media from the time we get up in the morning, time we go to bed at night. Some type of social media is present in our lives, and then with the advances in technology, the artificial intelligence and all those sorts of things and concerns about privacy. I think they wove all of those things together in a really good concept. I just wish that they had written 100% of a script instead of just 80%. Because to me, it was like they got through to the climax of the movie and then didn't know how to end it.
Right.
I was surprised that the movie ended when it ended. I was waiting for something more. It didn't seem to make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. To me, this movie just seemed like almost like a straight line. There was no valleys or dips or anything like that. It didn't seem like, when you got this kind of the way that it was promoted, it seemed almost like a thriller to me.
Yes.
In some sense, but it wasn't like that at all. It was very dry and kind of boring in a lot of the movie to me.
Right. And talked about the talent. I thought they really wasted the talents of Tom Hanks and Emma Watson. Spoiler alert, Tom Hanks is, I guess, ostensibly the villain or kind of a villainous character, and he's proved in movies in the past that he can play that, but they don't really give him a juicy enough of a role. I don't think he was villainous enough, and not a whole lot of motivation for Emma Watson's character. Of course, she's got charm and talent that they really didn't take advantage of. And there were a lot of things that her character did, initially being resistant to the intrusion of social media, and then she has a 5-minute speech with somebody, and then she's being monitored on social media cameras for 24 hours a day.
It's funny, this movie is a drama. It's got a tiny bit of thrilling elements to it, but it almost kind of felt like a horror film to me. Like, if this was real life, to me, that's scary.
Oh, absolutely. And we see the intrusion of technology in little ways in our lives. I've heard a lot of people talk about how they will browse a product at some place like Amazon.com, and then they'll go into their Facebook page, and all of a sudden there's ads for the thing that they look for and similar other things.
That's right, man. That's freaky. It really is when you see that. You're a Star Wars fan. John Boyega's in this film. What did you think about his performance?
I forgot that he was in it.
It did seem kind of wasted. He was in like 2 scenes, and he was supposed to be a pretty important character, and it felt like it was wasted too. Right.
And so much of this, they had a really good concept, but in my delusions of grandeur, I'd like to be a Hollywood script doctor. It's like, let me take a look at this script, and then let me tell you all the holes that are in this script and the parts that don't make sense. I've never been involved at any level with the production of a movie, but just as a moviegoer, you see a movie and you can see these gaping plot holes that they put in, and it's like, did nobody see this? Did it not make any difference? Maybe they thought, it's a spring release, we'll have a big weekend to make our money back. Nah.
Not a lot opening up in April kind of thing.
Right.
So Karen Gillan's in this film as well, and if you're familiar with Guardians of the Galaxy, she plays Nebula in those films. She was in this one. She was kind of Emma Watson's friend, and I was really confused by her character because she was very outgoing, very like, hey, this circle, this is the place to be. You need to be here. And all of a sudden, her arc kind of changed a little bit, where she was just out of touch, a little bit of jealous to what Emma Watson's character was getting, but it just didn't seem to. I don't feel like they did a good enough job with her.
No, and no motivation. I mean, It was
like all of a sudden, you know?
She's this high-powered executive. She's the one who brings Emma's character in, and then when Emma starts to get a little bit of attention, it's like she completely freaks out and is completely burned out and stressed out by the job. And I don't know, what is one of the things that is so important about some of the movies that we talked about, like the Star Wars movies. And what resonates with the Star Wars movies is how much we care about these characters. And it's not really that they're that complex in terms of characters. They're recognizable archetypes, but they're developed in a way where we identify with them, where we care about what happens to them. And I thought that one of the biggest weaknesses of the Circle is that you basically didn't care about what happened to any of these characters. The big sort of turning point for Emma is when her friend, who's a little bit disturbed, ends up dying in the crash, and I just didn't feel any real emotional resonance with that. In fact, when the whole scene started, I thought, oh, he's dead.
Yeah. I had totally forgot about him. Yeah, he was a pretty important character too, man. So obviously we both are, not very high on this film, but would you recommend this film to anybody? I mean, is this a film that somebody might get enjoyment out of?
I think for people who are concerned about privacy issues, especially the intrusion of electronic media into every part of our lives, I think that they would find the movie the basis of an interesting conversation. Okay. So if you already have a Netflix account and it comes up on Netflix and you want to spend a couple of hours watching it, I think it could generate some interesting conversational points. If you're thinking about, I want to watch a really good movie this weekend, I think there are a lot of other better choices for you than The Circle.
There you go. That's what we think. The movie's called The Circle. It stars Tom Hanks and Emma Watson. More reviews are coming your way next, right here on The Screen Team.